Hey everybody, it's Norm over here, and I've got one of my oldest and best buddies from many years, Gerry McGee from The Ventures. Jerry is,
The Ventures, yeah, but other folks I've worked with, so many people.
Oh yeah, Kris Kristofferson.
I don't want to give them the only credit. You know?
All right, no, well, let's talk about that. I know that you played on the last Train to Clarksville, didn't you?
I did, and I played on the Monkeys theme, the opening guitar thing on the Monkeys theme, all of that first album and half the second album that I played on, and a lot of session work with a lot of different people. Elvis,
But a lot you were with Kris Kristofferson.
Kristofferson, Rita Coolidge, Roseanne Cash, Tanya Tucker, Joni James, Steve, what's his name? Dion back in New York. I lived in New York for a little while.
With Dion?
Session work back there.
Nice.
Yeah, so
But that accent's not a New York accent, right?
Who's that? Mine?
Yeah, yours. You're from Louisiana.
I did not adapt a New York accent when I was living there. I lived there I was working in Vegas, and I'd go to New York and stay there for a couple of months and go back to Vegas and work. I was working with this Teddy Randazzo. I don't know if you ever
I know who Teddy Randazzo is. Gonna Take a Miracle. It's one of my favorite tunes. He wrote a lot of those tunes for Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Hurt So Bad.
Hurt So Bad, Going Out of My Head.
I played on Going Out of My Head, Little Anthony.
Did you really? That was a fabulous tune. You know.
So I worked with Teddy in the casinos, Thunderbird in Vegas in the early 60s, and then go back to New York, back and forth.
One of the great songwriters of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was a great piano player and songwriter.
And he also had a couple hits of his own too.
He did with a group called the Chuckles. I think he was with a group way back in the mid-50s. I forget the name of the song he had, but it was one of those Italian type songs. He's Italian.
Randazzo, I would assume. Yeah. You're part Japanese now, right? You're over in Japan so often.
Nihongo chisai desu. I speak a little bit of Japanese.
The Ventures are, iconic everywhere in the world, in the United States, but in Japan, they have a tremendous appreciation for the Ventures.
Absolutely.
And, they have good taste in music. And, Jerry, how long have you been going back there?
About 40 years.
Wow.
Somewhat late 30s.
That's almost like a home away from home, right?
Well, it's a second home for me. I enjoy going there, and I get a lot of friends and fans back there.
Good people over there.
Absolutely, great people. Yeah, very wonderful, gracious.
So, when was the last time you were there?
I just came back. As a matter of fact, I came back 3 days ago. So I was there for 2 months.
And you live in Louisiana, and there's all kinds of stuff happening there with the floods and all that, but not where you are, right?
Pretty bad. Well, we were just talking before about Baton Rouge. They got the parishes around Baton Rouge. About 40,000 people lost their homes, and pretty tragic. Yeah. You don't want to live too close to the ocean and too close to bottomland and stuff.
Well, it's below sea level in a lot of those places.
It is.
I lived in New Orleans, for a couple of years in my life, when I was very young.
That's right.
And and I loved it there. I thought it was a great town, great music.
Yeah.
And your dad also.
My dad was one of the pioneers of Louisiana French music, which is also known as Cajun music.
Right.
He and a black man named Amadé Ardouin were two of the first people that recorded in the late 20s and right into the 1930s.
Wow.
So he's one of the icons of that music.
And he played
fiddle.
Played fiddle.
Yeah. I tried to learn fiddle, see if I could compete with him, but I said, no way.
You needed something to look at.
I needed
frets.
2 extra strings.
There you go.
I needed that little bit. Yeah, I just couldn't.
And a few frets, right?
It would squeaked a lot, so it kind of bothered me.
Yeah. Well, when you're beginning, on the fiddle, that is one of the most annoying instruments on the planet until you can learn to play it right.
It is, absolutely. You got to be careful. It's squeaking. When it squeaks too much, you might as well forget it.
Yeah. Now, when the cats and dogs start running over, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's no kidding. Yeah.
So tell us about some more of the stuff that you've done over the years. How long were you with Kris Kristofferson?
I was with him for about 4 years. 4 years, and then I worked with Tanya Tucker after that for a little while. The studio work for me with Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire movie. I played on the soundtrack. Elvis Rick Nelson I worked with. Just a list of people that through the years. I don't even know how many, but somebody will post something on Facebook and say, hey, I played on that record, kind of thing, you know. So I've done my share of playing.
And you knew the guys, the LA guys, you know, that were doing all that too. Did you ever do anything with the, you know,
Wrecking Crew?
Wrecking Crew and all those guys?
Hal Blaine, I did a lot of sessions. Hal Blaine, Glenn Campbell was on a lot of days. James Burton. We were kind of the three of the guys that didn't read music, so they kind of used us,
for the field stuff.
Yeah, for the the hard stuff or whatever.
And that chicken picking style. That
Yeah.
you do. Play a little bit for us, man.
Okay.
Let's just hear it. And you're buddies with James Burton too.
Oh yeah,
right?
James.
You know,
I met James in 1959. I was living in Shreveport. I'd moved there to work, and met him at a drive-in restaurant one night, and I introduced himself. I recognized him because I was in a service, and I remember watching TV of the Ozzy
On
and
the Ricky
Harriet
Nelson.
show, and I said James Burton. I said, "Who's James Burton?" You know. So I finally got to meet him, so we became friends, and he's the one that kind of suggested I move to California. You know, be able
Nice.
to work and have a lot more possibilities.
Well,
for
that
work.
was a good suggestion, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, we worked together in the studio a lot. He and I, and Leon Russell, all those people.
Yeah.
I was there in 1960, and the first session I ever did was Bobby Darin. So
Wow.
that kind of started my career.
Did you know J.J. Cale? You
I
know-
did. J.J. Cale and Leon Russell came into a little club I was working in when I first went to California on Sunset Boulevard, a little place called Sea Witch.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of celebrity, actors and musicians came in that place, and they came in one night. His name is John. His name was John Cale originally.
Right. He was a good friend of mine. And
Oh,
he
yeah,
was a
I'm
wonderful
sure.
guy.
Yeah,
man. I
great,
love the
great,
guy,
low key guy. Not interested in any kind of fame or anything.
He was. I mean, you couldn't get much lower key than him. He liked to just go fishing and kind of sort of disappear into the woodwork. He just wanted to play music, and he wrote music, and he did a lot of modifications on guitars.
He sure
and
did.
stuff
Yeah,
like
he
that.
had one guitar had 6 pickups on it.
Yeah, I remember one. He had the
Some
back off of
oddball.
it so he could just keep putting different stuff in there.
Yeah,
on our shop.
I don't need anything like that. 2 pickups or 3 is fine for me. I can.
Right, and you've been a Telly guy for.
Telly and Strats. I started out, in fact, when I was in a service in the mid '50s. I saw Buddy Holly. I saw an album with Buddy Holly on the cover holding a Stratocaster, and I wanted to go get one. So I went and bought one for $250, a brand new '57 Strat.
Those were the days, my friend.
The $250 for a Stratocaster, '57. And then when I went to Shreveport, I ran into a guy that had a Telly to sell. He liked a Strat, and I liked Tellys. And I was kind of getting interested. So we made a swap. So I got a '56 Telly and went to California with that and started working there.
And that was kind of like the James Burton thing. I mean, you saw
Yeah.
James probably playing the Telly, right?
Yeah, yeah, James, of course, yeah. James played, yeah.
In the 50s, a lot of the guys, the studio guys were like jazz guys, and they were playing like these archtop guitars. So you
That's
didn't
right.
see that many of them with Fenders. You were like one of the early guys.
The session I did with Bobby Darin, Howard Roberts was on it, and what's that guitar player jazz from Oklahoma? Damn, I can't think of his name.
See, this is what happens when you got two guys sitting on a couch. He can't remember.
Especially
I can't
old
remember.
guys, too. Of course, I'm older than yours.
That's hard to believe because I got the gray hair. I don't know. What do? You don't dye your hair or what?
Oh, no, I don't. No.
You're a natural, man.
kinda
I'm natural
gray
too, but
around
it's
the
not
edges.
looking too good anymore. So.
It's the genes. My dad was 97, lived to be 97, and he had a
That's
full
great.
head of hair. He was kind of, pretty much.
Well, good for you. I mean, you're the picture of health, and glad to.
Going back to the session I did, Howard Roberts and Barney Kessel. They were on the
And
day.
Barney was out here. He had a music store out here.
Yeah, he did. I
in
know.
Studio,
They were. Howard Roberts was playing a Telecaster, and Barney Kessel was playing a Gibson, I think, at that time. But they were playing rhythm, and I ended up playing lead fills, and I didn't know that was the first session I ever did, so I was kind of scared. So I winged it, and Jimmy Haskell was the arranger, and he's the guy that got me on the date. He said, "Don't worry about it. Just count the bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then play."
Yeah. Well.
But I was like, Ooh.
Apparently it worked out. Well, you had also a couple of guys holding down the rhythm pretty good.
Absolutely,
Those guys were great.
Earl Palmer was playing drums. I think Red Callender, I think, was a bass player. And,
were you friends with Tommy?
Who?
Tommy Tedesco?
I was, yeah. In fact, when the first day, the second day later, second, third, I didn't know Tommy Tedesco. And when you walk in those days, they had 4 chairs for the guitar players. It was like, one guy that read, 2 guys that read, and the other 2, one would play whatever it was.
One guy playing the chinks and the other guy doing, you know.
I happened to walk in and I sat in the first chair and I didn't know it was supposed to be Tommy Tedesco's or whoever. So I sat there and for a little while, pretty soon somebody tapped me on the shoulder. You're in my chair. Hey. Oh, I'm sorry, he didn't introduce himself, but he was real nice.
He was a great guy.
Oh, wow, what a great guy.
I'll tell you one funny story. It's in my book. He came into the store one day, and all his stuff was in cartage. And he said, Norm, I need a classical guitar for this session. Nothing special, but something that sounds good, that's cheap. Yeah. I said, Tommy, I just got this guitar, and this was 25, 30 years ago. So stuff was a lot cheaper then.
Yeah.
I said, listen, you can have it for $100. I just bought it, and I think I paid right around $100. I said, just take it. You can have it for $100. He said, no, I want to play you gin for it. We'll play a game of gin to 200. Tommy was a habitual gambler, and I like to play gin and I like to play cards. So, but I mean, he was a case, So I figured, you know what? I'll play with Tommy. If I beat him, I'll get $200. If I lose, I'll have a great story with Tommy. And I actually beat him that day. And he gave me $200 and walked out with the guitar, and that was it. Well, but he was a character. And,
he was. He played a
Telecaster,
like a early '60s Telecaster. Mm-hmm. He played on all those TV themes, Addams Family.
Right. Well, he was the most recorded guitar player.
He played on everything because those guys read him and Carol Kay. I did several dates with there. Carol was playing bass. Mm-hmm. She played guitar one time.
Great guitar player as well.
And I was sitting next to her sometimes, and I was confused about chords. And I'd play a chord, and she was real nice. She'd say, you might want to try a different inversion. She was nice, but she was trying to help. And I said, okay, could you help me? She'd show me the chord or whatever it was. But they were great people to work with in the studio. They were very, especially guys like me who didn't read music. And
well, those were the insurance guys, right? Well, I mean, if you were a producer and you brought those guys in, it was going to work out fine.
Exactly. They had to have the guys that read because there were always parts that required reading, certain parts. So, yeah.
Well, things are different nowadays. So
it sure is, yeah, absolutely. Music's changed. Everything's changed today.
It sure has. But it's really great to have like one of the great icons of music in the LA session scene here, Gerry McGee, one of my favorite guitar players, kills it all the time. And
I paid him to say that.
You can give me the rest later. So, okay. But if you get a chance to see the Ventures, this is the man. If you're in Japan, this is the man.
Yeah, I might be retiring soon from the Ventures.
I've heard that for 20 years.
But I'm serious this time. I got other things cooking on the side and things. I'm doing a film actually about my father and
really.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
On a film.
Well, that should be interesting. Be looking out for that.
It'll be down the road somewhere, but I'll definitely want to get it finished and I get it done.
All right, buddy.
About it. And,
well, listen, the great Gerry McGee, can you just play a little something for us to take us out?
What can I play? Let's see. A little bit of Elvis.
Everything I taught him back in the day, right? Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
always great to see you.
Yeah.
My buddy Gerry McGee.
Yep.